Hey everybody, I just want to give a really quick video regarding the research project that's coming up. That'll be due November 20th, that's Sunday, by 11:30 p.m. You'll see the link up on Desire to Learn on how to turn it in. It will go through turnitin.com, which a lot of students freak out about. More on that later. That's really nothing to worry about as far as the research project goes. And so just have to have it completed by then. Check through the syllabus if you want a few more pointers about it, but I'll try to explain everything here and have a short little checklist below this video in the description on Brightspace. Simplest things about the research project. First off, most of y'all are going to write a paper. That's just a standard. It's not the only option. You can also do a video, some kind of PowerPoint presentation, maybe work out something with a discussion board, something like that. If you want to be ambitious and try to think outside the box, you're welcome to. Please just email me, contact me, let me know about what plans you have if you're going to do something besides writing a paper. Seeing as most of y'all are going to write a paper, that's what I'm really going to discuss. So let's just start with the basics. What is this research project? It's quite simply, you're going to think about something in American history, some topic. It doesn't have to cover 1302. It can go over to 1301, something in United States history, and you are going to research it. And that's really the key. This project is not about writing the best darn paper on a topic. It is a exercise in research. What I want you to do is find academic research, somehow use that and show me the research you obtained. And the simplest way to do that is by writing a research paper, right? If you choose to write the paper, this paper must be a minimum of 4 full pages. Fully cited in paper citations, not just a work cited at the end, right? With, I think most students know MLA citation. If you know APA, that's fine. If you know Chicago, that's great. History tends to use Chicago. I don't really care how you cite it. Stick to one of the major citation services. So for most to be MLA, but APA if you're in the social sciences or behavioral sciences rather, or Chicago if you're in humanities, is perfectly acceptable, right? Now, the other requirement is that you have to use only academic sources, right? And that's really the big trick to this paper. Finding academic sources, using them to write the paper. And that is the entire assignment. All I grade you on when we get to the research paper is the quality of the research you did, right? Were the sources academic? How well you use those sources in writing your paper, and to some extent, the number of sources that you used, right? Now I'd say to some extent on that because I don't have a firm minimum or maximum number of sources. Typically, if you're in about the 5 to 6 range, you're probably doing okay. The reason I can't have you need at least 4 or 5 sources is because not everybody's going to have the same topic, right? And if you're doing something on, say, Benjamin Franklin, you're going to have tons of sources to choose from. If you're doing something on, say, how President Truman defeated Dewey in the 1948 election, maybe you can have a fewer sources to use to find. So there is, to some extent, when I read your paper, I say, is this enough sources? And basically, if I go on to the research databases and I can find 12 other sources in like a minute and a half that would have perfectly fit your paper, and you're stuck there with 3 sources, I'll probably take off for that. But in general, if you're running the 5 to 6 range, you're probably doing all right on that one. Okay, so where do you find these academic sources? Where should you do this research? If you listen to my instructions, this is the easiest assignment you will have in this class. If you kind of go your own way, you're playing with fire. The whole goal is to research academically. And luckily, at your fingertips, you have access to millions of pages of absolutely free academic sources. Well, technically they're not free, you pay tuition, but once you paid your tuition, they are now free of charge to you. You can access them at your convenience. I am going to put this link up below this video, but what it is the Lone Star Library academic databases. That's what you should use. And in particular, since this is a history paper, you should use the history databases. Now, might I suggest the best database on that list that you're going to get to is one with a very, obscure name to it. You wouldn't think twice about it, and yet it is the best of the history research databases. It is JSTOR. We call it JSTOR. Some of y'all might be familiar, some of you have never heard of that, right? JSTOR. I'll put up a link. Might I suggest you start with that database? You should be able to do all your research on JSTOR, provided your topic's not extraordinarily obscure. If you need to find some other databases with trepidation, you might consider going there. I would try to stick to JSTOR as much as possible because it is by far the best, right? EBSCOhost is trying to make a name for itself, but JSTOR is still superior. So go to JSTOR, think of a topic, go to JSTOR, research topic, put it into the search parameters. If you are going to access this outside of a campus, which I'm assuming you're going to do, then you are going to need your library ID number. That can be found two ways. If you have been on the Lone Star campuses before and you have your ID card, it is that number on the back of your card. If you have never received a Lone Star ID, you need to go into your PeopleSoft, into your My Lone Star, and on one of those tabs there, and I am sorry because it is not the same on mine, I don't know which tab it is. If somebody wants to post this on a discussion, that'd be awesome, where your library number is, right? And you put that in there, then you gain access to JSTOR, and you can go about researching the paper, right? When you are finished with the paper, once it is 4 full pages, right, minimum. By the way, here's a little secret in life. You don't necessarily have to do the minimum in life. You can do more than 4 pages. Nonetheless, that is the minimum requirement, 4 full pages, right? In-paper citations. If you're going to use MLA like most, you have to have a works cited page. That does not count as one of your pages, nor does having a header with 18 freaking lines count as one page. Come on, let's not try to make arbitrary length here. Just do the, make sure it's 4 full pages minimum. Right. Once you're done with that, you're going to submit it to the link that I'm going to put up there. Make sure on your sources when they're cited, since you're going to be using the academic databases, make sure to include the URL, because I have to check your URLs. At this point, this semester, I am not requiring you to send me your sources. I sometimes have trouble when I don't do that, but I'm going to take a chance on this class because y'all seem like some really smart people, and I think you're going to do just fine. So you don't necessarily need to send me your sources. If I have a question about one of your sources that I can't find it, then I might be emailing you, and you need to send that to me. But it's case-by-case scenario and rarely comes up. Turn it in, make a great grade, be happy, right, man? It's really that simple. There's not much to it. I'm going to post a few more things. There's things to concern yourself about. If you don't know how to cite, right, well, being in this class supposes that you are either currently enrolled or have already taken English 1301 or its equivalent, right? In that class, you should have learned citation. If for whatever reason you were sleeping through that class, you're taking it now, you haven't got to it, right? You took it 5 years ago, you don't know, or whatever. That's fine. Send me an email, and I'll kind of walk you through the steps, or Google it. I mean, citation is the simplest thing. It freaks students out for some reason about citation. Just remember, why do you cite? Right? Well, you always say we cite to give credit to the people who did the work. That's actually bullshit. That's not why we cite at all, right? And Dr. Brown at Harvard doesn't really care if some student in my History 1301 class is giving them proper credit. There are copyright laws and things like that, but that's not what we cite. We cite to prove your work, right? And bottom line. So you need to prove your work. What you wrote is correct and provable. You do that with citations, boom, get a great grade. Any questions, comments, or concerns? I'm going to open up a discussion board on this. Feel free to add something once again on the research paper discussion board. Probably not as critical as going into the argumentative essay that's going to be posted here shortly. On that, you really need to discuss and come up with ideas and talk about it if you're working on the discussion board grade. But if there are something, if you want to discuss, if you have a problem, say, man, I don't really know how to cite this, put it up there. I'll give an opportunity for another student to help out, which adds to your discussion score grade. If nobody does in a reasonable amount of time, then I'll just go on there and do that, right? But I'm going to open that up for you. Remember, this is due Sunday, November 20th by 11:30 p.m. Just let me know if you're having any problems or concerns. Don't overthink the assignment, guys. Think of a topic, go on to JSTOR, research the topic, use that research to write your paper, turn the paper in, profit. Okay, if you are thinking about doing something besides a paper, just contact me on that. I rarely get anything like this, but I think it would be interesting. I mean, if you wanted to do a video about it. The only reason I need you to contact me is we have to come up with ways of citing that where I can see your research, right? Other than that, you know, sky's the limit on what you want to do there, right? I can open up an entire discussion board thing where you kind of present your research and you open it up to questions. I think, man, that's an interesting idea. I just need to know ahead of time so I can somehow reasonably give you a grade on the assignment. All right, coming up soon also, I'm going to make this video as soon as I'm done here. We're going to talk about the first essays, right? The first argumentative essays, we're going to have a range of topics. So I'll get to that here in a minute.